All right, Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Mashakum Malak Rashai. That is to say, Yahweh, being named the Heavenly Father, who the world will call God, and Yahweh Shai, being named His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This is Brother Casadia from Loving Fred, Jersey, Philly. And through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yashai, right, we're diving right into it. As you see on the title of the video, right, is breaking news. America, or what did I title this again? It's like it breaking news. American war in Venezuela is imminent, right? American war in Venezuela is imminent. And I want to get this out real quick before we go to camp. This won't be a long video, but I definitely want to dive into this through the spirit, right? Because again, this is breaking news, right? This is very important that we understand the context and why this is taking place too, right? Why this is taking place. So I'm gonna share my screen, right? We're gonna get right into it, right? So like, let me share my screen. Make sure we all good. Okay, con. All right. So as you see on the screen, this is about 4 hours ago, right? This is 4:54, or it's like 7:54 a.m. on the East Coast time. This is what Trump put out on his social media account. He said all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now, why is he putting that out? Well, if you haven't been paying attention for the last, I'm gonna say at least since September, right? At least since September, the last 3 months, really longer than that. But the war or the expected war against Venezuela has been ramping up, right? He's been taking out boats over in the Caribbean Sea, saying there are drug trafficking boats. They're smuggling drugs into America. Mind you, there's other connections of drugs, and I mean, we know how the devil gets, how the so-called white man has pushed the drugs into America to ultimately overthrow our community for decades, right? When you look at the 80s, you had the drugs that was literally funneled into America via the CIA under Ronald Reagan regime to overthrow the so-called black and brown communities, right? Israelites. So now this man, he's saying that he's doing this to stop drugs coming in, when he know damn well that's not the real reason why, right? We understand that Venezuela is one of the largest oil reserves in the world. And this war right here has been, well, all these wars that America has indulged themselves into, it's always been about war, resources, money, power, control. This has nothing to do with drugs. If he wanted to stop drugs, then shut down Pfizer. If he wanted to stop drugs, then shut down DuPont. If he wanted to shut down drugs, then shut down Eli Lilly. These companies, these billion-dollar companies that legally push and funnel drugs into America. Go shut down those companies if you really want to shut down drugs. See, it has nothing to do with that. So he's just a devil, and doing what devils always do is do that devil talk, right? That's what it's all. It's like it. That's what it's all about. Now I wanted to show this. Um, it says U.S. military aircraft are already almost constantly conducting patrols in the international airspace near Venezuela as part of the increased presence and counter narcotics operations. So they already been doing this buildup. This is not something new, right? What they recently did was, and I'm gonna share this as well. What they did just recently, they designated Cartel de la Sols, which is Cartel of the Suns. They designated this as a terrorist organization. Now, if this is swept under the radar, you didn't pay attention to why they did so. Marco Rubio, he actually did this because this is actually an organization run by Maduro, who's the president of Venezuela. Their whole plan is to get Maduro out of the way. They set up that other woman, I forget her name, but they want to put her in place, and she's going to sell out that country to funnel the oil back into America so they can go to war against Russia and continue to keep control over this world. This is what it's about. They understand that they about to go to a major war and they need to take this oil and go out and go to war against Russia. Now, not to jump ahead, but Venezuela is backed by Russia. Venezuela is backed by Russia, it's backed by China, it's backed by Iran. Venezuela is a key, it's not just a rinky dink country. Let alone is it where a lot of the brothers and sisters from the tribe of Asher are at. These are Asherites, right? Let alone that. But we know also, of course, this is a country that has great stockpiles of oil. And I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna show you this on the screen. Venezuela oil reserves. I'm gonna show you this. So when you pull this up, it says Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world, with estimates around 303 billion barrels. So check that out. Out of all the countries in the world, Venezuela is leading it by a great mile, as you see right here on the screen. You got Venezuela, you got Saudi Arabia, you got Canada. Isn't America already in bed with Saudi Arabia? So they got that under lock. Isn't America trying to take over Canada and make it another state? I think either the 51st or 52nd state, whatever it was. They're trying to take that over. They already tried to do strikes in Iran. They kind of got Iraq in their back pocket, right? Kuwait, UAE, Russia. So this is all about a war for control, a war for resources. And they're not going to flat out call it a war. They're going to first, again, demonize it and say that this is, oh, we got to stop this terrorist organization. So let's read this real quick. This is, and actually, as we read this, or before we read this, I should say, let's go to the book of Nahum, because this is already prophesied in the scripture. Everything you see that's taking place right now in this world, you can find a precept or two or three or four or five or seven to link it up to show you what's taking place right now in the world is linked up with the Bible. This is Nahum chapter 3, verse 1. It says, woe to the bloody city. And what does it mean to be a bloody city? It means the city is built on blood. I dare anyone in his comments right now, right, to show me a more wicked, blood-filled, warmongering city or country in all of the world. Name it. Name it. It's not China. China is not going to war against these other countries to take over their resources and damn overthrow them and subdue the world. They're not really moving like that. They're devils, but they're a different type of devil. Russia is a different type of devil. These devils, these American devils, they're built on bloodshed. They go into different countries. They plant their embassies. They plant their flag. They do so to take the resources. This is the same thing as the war against Afghanistan, the war against Iraq in 2003. That was for damn, I believe over 20 years. That war against Iraq ended. Let me prove that real quick. If I'm not mistaken, that war against Iraq ended in 2023. When did the war in Iraq end? I'm not okay, 2011. They're saying 2011. All right, let me look this up real quick. Withdraw troops. Okay, there we go. All right, so it says the main withdrawal of U.S. troops from Iraq was completed in December 2011. However, the U.S. military has since returned to Iraq in a non-combat advisory role. Why the hell are you in Iraq? How is U.S. troops needing to be over in Iraq in a non-combat advisory role? A combat mission concluded. A combat mission concluded in December 2021. and an agreement to withdraw the bulk of the remaining troops was announced in 2024, with the final withdrawal scheduled for the end of 2026. So they're still in Iraq. They said it ended in 2011. It says right here they had some troops evacuate in 2009. But we reading, and you could this is the devil talk. Why can't they just say, look, we still there? Why does it have to be all of this? Or we came back in a non-combat role. We actually had a combat mission later on that concluded in 2020. Come on now. Y'all are still over there. And why was the war against Iraq to begin with? For oil. They said there was weapons of mass destruction. That was a lie. They went into Iraq. They killed Saddam Hussein. They found no weapons of mass destruction, but they found a lot of oil. They found a whole bunch of oil. So back to it, this is what it's all about. It's about resources. It says, woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. They're robbing a president of a country at damn gunpoint, telling them to give up the oil or else we coming into this country. And hey, Maduro, he's not backing down. If I'm not mistaken, just recently, Maduro said we can win this war. Let me pull this up real quick. He said we can win this war against America. Let me pull this up. There we go. Look at this. This is about 3 days ago. He says U.S. won't be able to defeat Venezuela. Why don't we get this real quick? Let me pull this up. I don't want this audio to play. It's fair use for anything that pops up. It says Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Hold on, Salakia. Saying. It says Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro escalated his confrontation with the United States. It says rallying tens of thousands of supporters across Caracas as he framed the moment as a historic battle for the national survivor. I'm going to jump down. There we go. Maduro said, we must be ready to defend every inch of this blessed land from the imperialist threat or aggression, no matter where it comes from. Hold on. Let's get that exact quote we was looking for. Let's find this. All right, it's not gonna pop up in this Newsweek. That's all right. Right, but you get the point. Right, you get the point. This is another article right here. You get the point. It says U.S. cannot defeat Venezuela, President Maduro says. Right, so check that out. So back to it. Back to this precept. It says, it is all full of lies and robbery, the prey depart not. Right, because again, this is all for blood, money, lust. You over in Venezuela for lust. You in Venezuela for lust, for this money. And this is what America has always done. They've always gone into different countries and taken them over to fill up their stockpiles and fill up their pockets. That's why the Lord said this. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. Right, to go and take over another man's foundation and just rob them at damn gunpoint, at fighter jet point, if you got ears to hear, at missile point. Hey, the Lord said, you're woe to this person. In America, they just keep taking and taking and taking. But guess what? When they continue to do so, the Most High, he's stocking up them sins against them. And at one moment, it's all going to come crashing down. It's Isaiah 33 and verse 1. Woe to thee that spoilest. Right? To spoil something meaning to destroy, to take. The Lord said, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled. Right? Who has spoiled America? Drop in the comments right now, what country has come to America, bombed America, and taken America over? And really, what country has defeated America in war? In American soil? It's not there. It's not one country who've come to America and has destroyed America, has invaded America, whatever the case may be. That hasn't taken place. The only time there was such was before America was even America, And that was when the so-called, colonies was fighting up against the British and they got their independence. The Lord has allowed America, this soil, this land, to be untouched. As long as these devils have been ruling, the Lord has preserved them. But he's preserved them for destruction, not for simultaneous salvation. It says, and dealest treacherously, and they dwelt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. So when they stop trying to, go to war with others, that's the exact moment when the Most High is going to spoil them. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. So check that out. This is only prophecy being fulfilled. Again, them coming in, trying to overtake Venezuela, shutting down the aerospace. I mean, they're mounted up. They're literally mounted up to go to war against Venezuela. And I wanted to show you this as well. I don't know if this man is a devil. I'm guessing he is an Edomite. I don't know, right? I don't really care. But he did bring out this map, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So to give you an overlay of what America has been doing these past few months and where they've been placing, they've been sending these aircraft over in these regions, and they've been strapped up. So I want to show this. So it says a modified map of potential military targets in Venezuela with an overlay of U.S. flight operations in the region. So check this out. Lord willing, I can zoom in. Okay, I can't. All right, Lord willing, you can see this though. Wish I could zoom in. That'd be much better. Okay, it's not really giving me that option. All right. Well, if you can see it, if you want to pause the video, maybe screenshot it for later, I guess. But you can see there's different dates that he has assigned to different aircraft that they're putting in position. They got the B-1B bomber. They got the B-52 bomber. They have the Super Hornet. They got this Hawkeye. They got these different. They got the F-35, and they've been putting them in different positions. Damn, I really wish I can zoom in on this. It would have been mighty, but it is what it is. So you can see they got them in November 20th. They put some of the Super Hornets over here. They have the Hawkeye. Where's that purple at? That light purple. But the point is they have them in different positions, and these different areas right here are some of the targets that they would like to strike. Now, where is he getting this information from? It says the source is from the global security, right? So whether this is accurate or not, this is just an outline of what you can look at on why or where they're going to be targeting in Venezuela. Now, mind you, once again, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, and that's by no mistake. That's by no mistake. I want to go to a quick precept in Deuteronomy. Right, let's go to Deuteronomy, the 33rd chapter. Right, Deuteronomy chapter 33, and I'll start at 24. Right, let's show you what the Lord said in Deuteronomy. This is Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 24. And of Asher he said, let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. So the Lord said Asher is going to dip his foot in oil. Now, once again, we looking and we seeing that out of all the countries in the world, Venezuela holds the largest proven crude oil reserves globally. So they can go over, and maybe you think I'm just bluffing, right? Maybe I'm just talking. Oh, brother, how do you know they want to go get the oil? Well, let's see what the devil said himself. Let's see what they said out their own mouth. And actually, before I get that, let me get the reason why I mentioned. Again, Asher is a lot of these Venezuelans are Asherites. I'm gonna pull this up. Right? A lot of these Venezuelans are Asherites. Right? Let's pull this up to show you. So you look right here on this chart. You have Satan, right? So you have right here, you have Slakia, where I'm at. Asher. It says Colombia to Arguay, right? Which are the ancient Incas. If you look on the map, Let's pull up the South American map. Right. Let's pull up South America. And you got to jump through hoops to get these maps. This is madness. Hold on. Bear with me. All right, let's share this. You can kind of see it. I mean, not really. I don't know why they're not pulling it up fully. There we go. All praise to the Most High. All right, this is much better. All right. So as you see, again, from Colombia to Uruguay, which is here, you had Peru in between. You got Brazil in between. You got Bolivia. You got Paraguay, and you got Uruguay, right? For pronouncing those right, Slovakia for my Asherite brothers and sisters. But Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, and Uruguay, right? These are where the tribe of Asher settled, right? So back to it, I want to go back to like I said, to prove from the devil's mouth himself. Really, it's a Shedemite that said it, but of course she's not getting this from her own merit. This is not from her own. Hold on, bear with me. Satan trying to jam up this live, right? As always. But we back to it. So we see on the screen, I'm gonna play this video. This is from the
Americans who do not understand why we need to
speaking on why this war against Venezuela is so important. So again, this is U.S. official admits that the U.S. is after Venezuela's oil. Venezuela for the American oil companies will be a field day, $1 trillion US economic activity. This is what she's saying. Let's check this out.
Americans who do not understand why we need to go in basically for three reasons. You're in Fox Business.
And Baba Gashah, put a one in the chat if you can hear this audio being played from this video. And absolutely, this is fair use. This is fair use. This is fair use for the edification of the saints. Can somebody put a one in the chat if you can hear this audio being played?
Venezuela for the American oil companies will be a field day because it will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe, the whole oil rigs, and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum.
See that? Let's run that back from the top.
Americans who do not understand why we need to go in basically for three reasons.
She said it's for three reasons Americans need to know why we need to go in this thing. Why we need to go out and take out Maduro and take over Venezuela. Three reasons, right? Now watch what she first says.
You're in Fox Business. Venezuela for the American oil company.
First thing she utters out her mouth. It's three reasons, but look, the first thing we need to do, we need to get this oil. Venezuela for these American oil companies, it's going to be a fields day.
Will be a field day because it will be more than $1 trillion in.
And she's a Northern Kingdom sister, if I'm not mistaken. And she could be a Spaniard. But look, if you're a sister, this a bad look. It's a coon behavior, sister. If you're a sister, Maria, if you're watching this, Maria, you need to repent. You're condoning the white man to go into your brother's land to take his oil. You want your brother oil to be taken. Again, if she's not a sister, then she's a devil, right? But if she is a sister, then sister, what are you doing? You on live TV condoning the devil taking over your brother's land and taking over that oil. It's crazy, bro.
Economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe, the whole oil rigs, and everything.
She's just saying it like it's just a thing that's supposed to happen. American companies can go in this thing. They can just fix all the oil pipelines, all of them. We just want to go in and take everything. Let me get this precept. Man, she said we can just go in and take everything. This is St. John. chapter 10 and verse number 10. It says, the thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. And I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. So the whole role of America, being this devil, this murderer, this robber, this damn pedo, and you can fill in the rest of the letters. Hey, their whole role is to just take, take, take. That's all they do is take. They take until it's not enough. Let me get another precept real quick. This is the book of Job, chapter 21. Slacky. This Job 21, and I'm gonna get verse. I want to get Job 21, and I want to get I start at 12, right? Man, Job, the 21st chapter. It's just a different chapter. This Job 21, and I'm gonna get verse 12. It says they take the timbrel and harp and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Therefore, they say unto Yahweh, depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways. I'm gonna jump down. Verse 17. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out? How oft cometh their destruction upon them? Yahweh distributeth sorrows in his anger. They are as stubble before the wind, and as chaff that's like that the storm carrieth away. Yahweh live up his iniquity for his children. He know it, so like he rewardeth him, and he shall know it. So all the taking and all the evil that they've done, and guess what? Their children, they got to receive that judgment for her. So they're being proud. The Most High is going to overthrow America. He's going to burn this place up, and then those children, for the next 1,000 years until they're exterminated, they're going to have to receive all the lashes, all the destruction, all the damn getting smitten down, and all the hard work, right? And the rigorous labor is going to take and building up our kingdom from snatching and taking all the kingdoms of the world. Let's continue on this though.
Everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies, or everything that has to do with oil and the derivatives. Number two, Americans who do
Hold on.
not
I want to
understand
get that last part.
Venezuelan petroleum companies, oil rigs, and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies, or everything that has to do with oil and the derivatives. Number
Everything that has to do with the oil, the petroleum, the rigs, this is what we going into America for. Or it's like going into Venezuela for. So again, out of her own words, this is what she's saying is for. Now, 26 minutes ago, you had the Bolivian military, their aviation, which is the aircraft, they were active. So if you don't know, Bolivia, Iran, and you can pull this up, you can fact check it, but Bolivia, Iran, China, Russia, I think it's one more country. They're backed. It's like they backed Venezuela and Colombia, right? If I didn't say Colombia, so Colombia, Venezuela, Iran, China, and Russia, they all back Venezuela. So, this is showing that Bolivia, they about to get active too. America thought they could just go to Venezuela, swoop in, kill Maduro, take the oil, dip up out of there, and plant in their new put a coup in place and put a new woman in charge. I forget this woman's name, but they want to. Let me pull this up. See if I can find this real quick. Right, like I said, it's not gonna be too long, but I wanted to get this real quick. Next, right, because they already have somebody that they want in place. Right, they already have somebody. If I'm not mistaken, this woman, she actually won um the Nobel Peace Prize. If I'm not mistaken, this woman won the Nobel Peace Prize. Right? It says, what would it take for Maduro to give up power? Hold on, let's zoom out of this. Let me pull this up. If I'm not mistaken, I might just look her up by. Hold on, let me see. I didn't really curate this article. Most of this is on the fly. Let me see. Let me look up Nobel Peace Prize winner. Yeah, this is woman right here. What's her name? Okay, Marina. That's her name. What the hell? There we go. Okay. All right. So this the woman right here. From sharing the screen. There we go. So Machado. Marina Machado, who was born in Venezuela, right? She's set up, if I'm not mistaken, they already have her set up to be. And what did she win the what did she actually do for her to win the Nobel Peace Prize being over there in Venezuela? What did she do? So they have her set up to be the next woman, next president. Let's pull that up. Let's see if something pops up from that. Right? We know she's not currently the one. All right, it's not showing what I wanted. I should have took more time on that one to find that, but that's all right. I mean, again, you can look a lot of these things up as well. But they have her. They championed her. They allowed her to win this Nobel Peace Prize. Uh, it says, I'll read this part. It says Machado is a prominent opposition leader, a pro democracy advocate, and a recipient of the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts. So she's already working hand in hand with America, right? She already has had talks with America, and hey, when they take him out the way, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to put her in office immediately afterwards. But back to this thing, right? So this is not the only thing that's taking place. We also had last night, and I'm not going to fully go into it. I may make a separate video on it, but Ukraine, they actually struck two of Russia's shadow fleet oil tankers off the Turkish Black Sea. This is very important because these are civilian tankers. They're supplying oil through Russia. And doing this escalates the war after they just announced a 28 point peace plan. Immediately after that, Ukraine is continuing the war and now attacking these Russian oil tankers. This is a big deal. This is a big major escalation. I'm gonna dive into this a little bit later on, but I want to get some more precepts before we wrap up. Let's go to the book of I want to go to Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel real quick. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 21. This is Ezekiel 21, and I'm going to start at verse 27. Now, when you read this in the context, it's talking about the wicked kings and princes of Israel. I'll start at 25. And thou profane wicked priest, prince of Israel, whose day is come, when iniquity shall have an end. Thus said the Lord Yahweh, remove the diadem and take off the crown. This shall not be the same. Exalt him that is low and abase him that is high. Right. So the Lord, he was breaking down the false leaders of Israel and rising up the true leaders, right? Verse 27. It says, I will overturn, overturn it, and it shall be no more until he come whose right it is, and I will give it him. So through the Spirit, we can apply this precept as the Lord is overturning his world as well. He's overturning it sevenfold. He's breaking down these nations. He's breaking down these kingdoms. He's breaking it all up to restore it in the image of Yahweh Shai. Remember, Yahweh Shai, he's that true king of the earth. So these false leaders, right? Because Maduro, he's not serving the Most High. Yes, he's our brother, but he's not serving Yahweh Bashim Shai. Right? He's not doing that. So the Lord got to snatch his kingdom from him as well. Just like he's going to snatch the kingdom from the white man, right? From Trump, right? And the men that really run behind the scenes, these Jewish men. He has to snatch the kingdoms of the world, snatch President Xi over in China. He has to snatch his power from him. Putin's power got to get snatched. All these men, they all got to give up their crowns, and it's going to be rolled into, on a spiritual level, one crown. And that one crown is going to be for the true king, Yahweh Shai. Well, let's get that real quick in Revelation. Yahweh Shai is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Right? So the Lord is breaking down these nations by having them go to war against each other to give the glory to the true king of the earth. This is Revelation 19 and verse 16. I started 16. And he had on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of kings and Lord of lords. That's Yahweh Shai, the King of kings and Lords of lords, right? Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. So again, prophecy is that the nations have to go to war against each other. In these different battles, they had to take place. Why? Because prophecy must be fulfilled. This is St. Matthew 24 and verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. It didn't say it may come to pass. There's an if. No, it must happen. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Because what's going to happen? If they truly take over Venezuela and Venezuela collapses, because those Venezuelan people, they're behind Maduro. America want to paint this picture that he's a dictator, he's doing this, he's doing that. They're behind him though. So when they try to install this puppet, like they always do, and guess what? That country may go to turmoil. If I'm not mistaken, a few years ago, they was burning their dollars because it meant nothing. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Venezuela, or it might have been Argentina. I might be mistaken. But the point is, hey, that country is going to go to shits, right? Excuse my French, but that's what it's going to go to dung. And guess what? And as it always happens, you got famine that arises, you got pestilences, you got different things that take place because there's no order, or the power structure is now collapsed and there's a vacuum there. So you got different anarchy that arises, and this is what America loves though. They love that chaos. They go to different countries, they take countries over, they remove their leaders, and then that country turns to chaos. Let's get another precept on this. So the Most High has always allowed these things to take place, and he said this is going to happen in the last days. This is Second Chronicles chapter 15 and verse number 5. And in those times there was no peace to him that went out, nor to him that came in, but great vexations were upon all the inhabitants of the countries. Verse 6. And nation was destroyed of nation, and city of city. It says, for Yahweh did vex them with all adversity. So nations going to destroy each other, cities will destroy each other, man will destroy each other. Full on chaos is going to occur in these last days. Why? Because it's set up to happen, right? It's set up to take place. Let's get another precept. Let's get another precept on this. Let's go to the book of Haggai. I'm gonna get a couple more, then we're gonna close out. This is Haggai chapter 2, and I want to get verse 21. It says, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms. So the Lord is setting the kingdoms to be overthrown. The rulers, the chief men, the princes, the presidents, the damn prime ministers. And I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms and will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. So check that out. The Lord is destroying all the nations round about, bringing them all down and bringing them very low. Why? Because a true king is about to make his second coming upon the earth, right? And when he returns, it's not going to be a glorious day for the world. It's not going to be a day of gloomy. It's like joy. It's going to be a day of joy for the elect, but it's going to be a day of gloominess for the rest of the world. This is Joel 1 and verse 15. Alas, for the day of Yahweh is at hand, and as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. So the Lord, again, when he returns, is going to be a destruction. The Lord is dividing houses now, dividing kingdoms now. They're not going to be able to stand in that day. So we want to continue to keep watch over these different prophecies and how the Most High is shaking up the world, shaking up the inhabitants thereof, and understanding very, very soon when Venezuela collapsed, America shortly thereafter. But with that, we want to give our honor and our glory to Yahweh. By Hashem Mashal Mike Shai. Lord willing, we keep watching these last days. Kwame Sharala. Shalom.